We continue our month of exploring interactivity as a story disruptor. Web platforms are emerging that now make it possible to remix videos and add layers of context, effectively extending post-production indefinitely. How does this affect ways we edit and tell stories? This interactive Vine vid is an excerpt from the interview I and editor Joe Botana had with Brett Gaylor, documentary filmmaker and director of Mozilla's Popcorn.js project. In this short clip, Brett talks about his frustrations with the limitations of early web distribution and how he convinced an internet titan to care about the future of filmmaking.
What you could do at that time with video on the web was slightly disappointing in that it was the same experience as a viewer if you were watching it on the web or if you're watching it on your DVD or you're watching it on television, you know? It was just TV and a web page.
Yep.
And one of the places that I showed the film, we did a lot of these sort of semi-theatrical screenings where we would show it for interested audiences. And one of the places we did that was at the Open Video Conference, which was this emerging conference that had been organized by a lot of the young folks that were involved in the free culture movement. So I knew one of the other people that was at this conference were the folks from Firefox, and they were describing how they were building in HTML5 native capabilities to display video in the browser. So for the first time, they were saying that video and audio were going to be part of that. And so, you know, we're used to on the web seeing, you know, combining something like a Google map with an image, with text, and all of those things being able to communicate with each other in their data. But the problem with video not being a part of, you know, what we would call a first-class citizen of the web is that what was happening in that Flash environment was essentially like this black box. It couldn't communicate with the browser. So the browser didn't know, you know, what's inside that video, like who is it, where did that scene take place, what's it about. So I thought, wait a minute, this is kind of interesting. I've done all this research for RIP. You know, there's how many Wikipedia articles did I have to pour through, or you know, people I had to talk to, or places that I visited, and it was similar to Homeless Nation. It was like, hey, we're leaving all these voices on the editing room floor, but in this case, we're leaving all this information on the editing room floor. Like, this issue is not done. It continues. The people that were in this film are still alive. What happened to them? What are they doing now? What are they talking about? And so I approached the Mozilla folks and said, like, hey, I'm a filmmaker in this space. What are you guys doing to help us, basically? They said, you know, we're software people. We're not filmmaking people, but we're interested in hearing from you. And at that point, Mozilla had started a project to keep the web a public resource. And so they said, you know, why don't you sit down with some software folks? I was introduced to a gentleman named David Humphrey, who was a professor at Seneca College in Toronto, and he had a group of students that were basically doing research projects. And I presented that idea, like, hey, how about being able to to have a Wikipedia article linking to the subject that's in that scene or the place? I'd like to be able to know, to display in a video who is in that scene, what it's about, where it happened. And we thought, this is kind of interesting. There's something here. You know, maybe what we should do is create a lightweight software library that other people could do this too. So they don't, like, we don't want to do this for everybody. We want anybody to be able to do this. And what we did is we just started, we just put it out there. And then, you know, we asked people to make demos. Some people came and make demos. And then some people that, you know, had nothing to do with us found out about it and started building their own experiences with it. And then that's just sort of snowballed. And now it's quite a robust software library. You know, the National Public Radio is using it. PBS uses it. We've got, like, Hollywood folks use it. People are using it every single day that we have nothing to do with, because it has this sort of innate utility.
Tune in next week for another interactive clip. Brett will go into the details of Popcorn.js, Popcorn Maker, and examples of trailblazers in this new collaborative content frontier. See you next week.